Welcome, everyone. This is the Extraordinary Games Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Winchester. Today with me, we have my old friend, Steve, who, honestly, we've probably been playing video games off and on together for, 20 years? Something along those lines at this point?
Yeah, like 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just telling a story about, when we were in school, and this is going to go right into some morbid territory, but we were playing, I remember playing Pokemon in astronomy class, and that's when, 9/11 happened. I was playing, I'm pretty sure it was your copy of Pokemon Yellow, and I was playing Pikachu Surf, and I was talking to somebody at work about it today, and he just started laughing, and he just looks at me, and he's like, I know that's not funny, but it's also so funny at the same time. And I'm like, I know.
It's a really silly thing to be doing during a serious moment in time.
Okay, in my defense, I did stop playing Pokemon Yellow, when they rolled out the TV and we saw what was happening. But, up until that exact moment, I'm pretty sure I was playing Pikachu Surf. I'm 90% sure. I remember that day pretty vividly. But that's how far back our gaming history goes. And the one thing I really didn't say in the last time I recorded, the first episode of the podcast was what this podcast is all about. It's not just about the nitty gritty of games necessarily. It's more about just how we feel in our why we keep playing these games that we truly love. Logan has a huge desire. He had a huge desire for a long time to play Smash Bros. Professionally. He would go to tournaments and things like that. And the game we're talking about today, which is Capcom versus SNK 2, which honestly, it's a pretty niche game if you're not into 2D fighters at all. But we've been playing this game for what seems like decades now. And every time Steve and I decide we want to play something together, this is the thing we boot up. And that started way back in the day when we were pretty sure it was when we were working at Game Crazy. After hours, we would play the shit out of this game.
Yeah, it was 2003 during the Xbox release for this game, and we'd play online and stuff. It was wild.
Yeah, it was really, those are really weird times. I talk to people all the time about when I worked at Game Crazy, and they're like, so you played video games on the clock, while you were at work? I'm like, yeah, man, they told us to do it for 15 minutes every day at a minimum. So that's what we did. And then even after close sometimes, I remember you and I booting up this game. I think it might have been the PS2 version, and we were trying for hours to just beat Shinakuma. And getting rocked over and over and over again because the CPU as Shinakuma is unbeatable. It's insane.
Yeah, Shinakuma is a monster. I have such an easier time with God Rugal than I do with Shinakuma. I think it's easier to trick God Rugal's brain into doing dumb stuff, where Shinakuma is just oops all combos.
Yeah, it's Alt Rugal is definitely my preference if I'm going for one of the boss characters. The only thing that ever catches me is that fucking that crescent kick. God damn, that crescent kick hurts so bad. Every time he nails you with it, it's you feel it in your soul. It's one of those things.
Yeah, genocide cutter. It hurts a lot.
It does hurt a lot. But before we start talking complete SNK Capcom nonsense, I'm actually going to try to stick to somewhat of the format this time. Last time I totally didn't. So what are you currently playing right now? Are you just playing this, or is there anything else that you're dabbling in?
I kind of just sit around and play fighting games on my couch when I have 10-15 minutes, because it's something bite-sized. But I was playing Hades for a little while, and I just picked up Metal Gear Solid 5 again, and I've been playing with mods so that I start with nothing, and I'm just kind of sweatily crawling around and punching people. So that's kind of what I've been up to with my gaming.
Honestly, I can't fault that. Metal Gear Solid 5 is awesome. I've probably clocked in like at least 100 hours playing that game on PS4 when it launched. And even now, like I have it on PC, and sometimes it just stares me in the face and it's like, please boot me up, play me, and like have fun with cardboard boxes and the ridiculous amount of weapons that game has. It's so goddamn good. Like I think it's gonna go down as the most underappreciated Metal Gear Solid game, to be honest, because everybody remembers Metal Gear Solid 3, but like I feel like nobody's gonna even think about Metal Gear Solid 5.
They should do 3 with 5's engine.
Oh, that would be cool. I really want them to just remake the entire series. Like start with Metal Gear Solid 1, but I know they redid Metal Gear Solid 1 with Twin Snakes, but that does not count. Like he drop kicks a goddamn missile in that game, and as cool as Solid Snake is, that should not be something that's done in a tactical stealth like action game. Like it shouldn't be in there. I wish they would just like start from scratch. I mean, Konami now they're finally doing something with the Silent Hill franchise, so who knows? Maybe they'll actually look into redoing Metal Gear Solid for a change.
Yeah, I'd like to see like the Resident Evil treatment to the old Metal Gear games. I think that would go over real smooth.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the funny part is too, with the Silent Hill stuff being announced, none of that stuff is being developed in house by Konami. They're just outsourcing all of it. So I honestly think they own the IP. I don't think Kojima Productions stole that IP when they went. I think they just like left it with Konami and let it pretty much rot there, because they did release Metal Gear Solid Survive afterwards. So maybe they'll just like eventually decide to do a reboot or something with the franchise and hand it off to a developer that could actually do it justice. I honestly think Blue Point would probably do the best job. But then it would just be PS5 exclusive, and I don't know how I would feel about that.
Yeah, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 as well, like just kind of on and off, which it's just really good game if you haven't played it.
Which is odd to say now, considering how absolutely horrid the launch was for that game. But I think ever since the anime came out, the Edge Runners anime, everybody jumped back in, because that got me back into that game. I watched that anime, and literally like the same day I finished the anime, I'm like, all right, I'm putting in Cyberpunk 2077 again. Looks like I'm going to try for a different build now.
It's so good. I was sitting in a hammock on a C-130 watching that, like flying across the ocean. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. So I got to like just power watch it.
That's actually awesome. I watched it over the course of like 2 or 3 days, and it was funny because I watched the first episode, and I thought, well, this is good. I don't know where it's going, but I'm going to just like watch the second episode. And the next thing I knew, I was like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they took this franchise that was pretty much like kind of dead on arrival once the game launched, and then made something so cool out of just like the Cyberpunk 2077 IP. And when I finished the anime and I started playing the game, I'm like, this is going to reboot this entire game, because I knew the patch had come out for the game that fixed a lot of the shit that was wrong with it. Like literally, I think that it was either the same week or like a week or two before, fixing a lot of the Cyberpunk issues. And then they released that, and I was like, this is like a 1-2 punch, and it's going to like give this thing a shot in the arm. And that's exactly what happened. Like the next day I went into work and people were talking about playing Cyberpunk again. I was like, wow, this is fucking wacky.
Yeah, I didn't, excuse me. I didn't play it on launch. So when I did play it, I had like not as many like wild experiences as a lot of other people. The stuff that happened to me was like I'd go into like a market and it'd just be everybody's T-posing, and I'm like, that's hilarious. I can't get mad at that. I actually kind of enjoy that. And then it's just like Witcher 3. I don't know if you remember the launch of Witcher 3. It was a catastrophe. Like it was just like this, and then they slowly just work on it. That's what they do. They make incredible game starts, really good stories where you care about the people, and then it's just horribly broken, and then they just slowly polish it.
Yeah, they're honestly, like, I remember a little bit of the Witcher 3 launch when it was like you'd be watching a cutscene and you would just like see a character just like float out of the frame of the cutscene, or like just weird shit happen all the time.
Wacky. wacky Skyrim
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, like horses, like obviously like not even connected to the ground, just like flying off into the distance, like it's just dumb shit like that. And I think at this point you kind of have to expect that stuff in games that are this big. But I think with Cyberpunk in particular, because of all the delays leading up to the release, people weren't expecting it to be as bad as it was, because they were like, you delayed this game like a year and a half already. Like, how can it be this bad? Like, didn't you guys fix all this stuff? And obviously, the game world's huge. There are like hundreds of quests in it, tons of NPCs, not to mention like all the different physics that you have to work around in just like basic game engine stuff. Like, this is their custom game engine, so it's not like they're just loading up Unreal and Unreal's doing all the work for them. And you just kind of have to expect it to be this bad. The other issue too is they decided to launch it on last gen consoles when there's no way they didn't know that game was going to be just completely broken on that shit. Like the Xbox. Think about the Xbox One at that point. The Xbox One had like, oh man, how much RAM did the original Xbox One have? Was it like 8 gigs? Because I think it was supposed to have
I don't even
4.
know. I skipped that generation.
I want to say the Xbox One had like 8 gigs of RAM or something like that. So it was already fairly underpowered and like a super old, like obviously super old graphics by that point. Because you're talking 2014, I think, is when those systems launched. And you expect this thing to run literally state-of-the-art software. Like, this thing, PCs that was the benchmark for fucking PCs for the longest time. Was like, I remember looking at Gamers Nexus shit, and there's like, oh, we're just going to run Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K and see how many frames we get. And half the time it wouldn't even hit fucking 60 frames on like a 3080. So like, you have to realize that this shit's not going to run on old hardware, and they still decided to release it on that shit. That was their biggest mistake. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of technology that kind of like smoke and mirrors. Like they'll go and use AI to like interpolate like worse frames in the middle, like they did with VR, and it usually works out pretty well. Like that's where you get all these like really high performing like 4K things, because there's no way the computer, like the cards are running like actually rendering each and every frame. Like they do a lot of AI just guessing, I guess, and that smooths it over, because we can't see that much.
Yeah, like if you look at stuff like DLSS in particular too, DLSS I get why DLSS is in every game, but the games that it does work well in, like it's really really hard to tell the difference if you're looking at a DLSS like frame versus just a regular 4K frame. Like if you're just like pausing it and you have your like face up against like a 32-inch monitor that's at 4K, yeah, you might tell the difference. Like you might be able to see a little bit more artifacting and things, but otherwise you're not going to be able to really tell. And I'm glad that shit's becoming more like just more relevant and people are using it more. And now even AMD is putting that. It's not the same. It's not DLSS, but it's a similar technology into their video cards. So pretty soon we're just not even going to be like, we're not even going to worry about if something's running at full 4K or if it's upscaled. Like it's just going to be whatever gets your performance there, just use it. Because this AI stuff is just getting so good, especially over the course of the past few years. Like if you look at DLSS 1.0, it was pretty rough. Like if you looked at like trees in the distance and stuff, you could see every little, like you could see where it was being upscaled. Now it's getting much harder. Every iteration of it is just getting better and better.
Yeah, even in Cyberpunk, like a couple months ago, I ran it with the DLSS and all that. I got like a 3060 and like a Ryzen 5600 or something, like a 12 core. Nothing crazy, and it looked like absolute trash. And then like a week or two ago I did it, same settings, and I was like, oh, this actually looks good. So they've definitely, like, you can see it in like the course of like not even a year, the advancement that they've made.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better. So I love when people are like, man, but I need my 4090 so I can run it in 4K with like 400 frames per second. It's like, no, you don't. You don't need the 4090. You just want to flex. You just want to be able to say you have a 4090.
Big flex energy right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you could reasonably get away with like a 4070 or a 3070 at this point and still get like excellent frames out of it. You just got to use DLSS or, dial some things back. Like you really don't need ray tracing in a lot of this stuff. I honestly find ray tracing to be a little bit more distracting than anything else, depending on the game I'm playing. So half the time I just have it off to begin with. It's just there to like, it's flashy and cool, but most of the time, I don't really need it, and sometimes even honestly, the screen split SSR actually looks a little bit better than the ray tracing, depending on the game. Like I've played the new Resident Evil 2 patch that put ray tracing in it. It looks better without the ray tracing, even though there's some shit that looks a little weird with like the SSR, like the ground textures and stuff in the police station. Like the SSR is fucking horrible when it comes to that. Like everything looks like it's got Vaseline on it, and then somebody like threw water on top of the Vaseline. But but when it comes to like the water stuff, it looks a lot better in the SSR than it does with the ray tracing. So it's like a give or take there.
Yeah, wet ground always looks weird with ray tracing, depending on how they did it. It always looks like there's just puddles everywhere. It's super reflective at all times.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why is everything fucking super shiny like a mirror? No, it's not necessarily so. All right, okay. So, what are we talking about today? Oh yeah, that's right, Capcom versus SNK 2. Yeah, this game it's still so good. Like it still plays so well, even though it's fucking old as dirt by most standards.
It feels very good in the hands.
Yeah,
this game is this is the Rolls Royce of fighting games. Is like the yardstick that I measure other fighting games against, and it's like really unfair for other fighting games. So I've like calmed down recently, but like this just always has a place in my heart.
It just plays so well. It just feels like when you play a 2D fighting game, this game just feels the way you imagine all other 2D fighting games too. Like it just works so well, especially considering it's kind of combining a lot of systems, because it's a complete and total mashup of like King of Fighters and all the like the Capcom Street Fighter games. It literally just blends everything together, and you wouldn't think it would work as well as it does, because if you look at like old school King of Fighters games and old school Street Fighter games, yeah, they're 2D fighters, but holy shit, do they play differently. Like the systems are like, they're completely different. It's literally like tomatoes versus potatoes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'd say the old game that plays as well as this does is probably like King of Fighters 98. Like that game is very smooth, especially when you consider it came out in like 1998. Like it's incredibly smooth, well ahead of its time. A lot of the stuff that I love about CVS2 is stuff that like they pulled from KOF 98 specifically, but yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of everything. It's like a buffet of all your favorite food, and you're just like yum 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 yum.
Yeah, and even the fact that they have like Shinakuma and Alt Rugal in it is pretty cool to me. Like they honestly could have just left the roster just like with the base characters and it would have been fine. But the fact that they're like, we have these two really badass characters in this game that you're probably gonna want to play as, but you're gonna have to fucking earn them, is really awesome. And boy, do you fucking earn those characters. Oh my god, the shit you have to go through to get those guys.
Yeah, so I guess we should probably talk about like so there's a few different versions of this game. There's initially it released in the arcades on Sega Naomi system, which is basically like a beefed up Dreamcast, and then after that it released in Japan like in September of 2001 on Dreamcast and PS2. And fun fact, this is one of the first games to have crossplay, because if you were in Japan and you had a Dreamcast or a PlayStation 2, you could play online against anybody who had any of those, which is like just blows my mind.
I don't even know how that would fucking work. Like I'm thinking about that now, and it's like, Sega had what? Like Sega used what? Sega Net, and then PlayStation was just. Oh my god! For anybody who remembers fucking PlayStation Online, that was a trip. That was a weird ass rabbit hole.
Japan
Yeah,
has always had like really cool like dabblings with like networking and games like way early on. Like I think they tried to do something like that with like the Famicom and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure.
yeah. I think
Like I
Famicom
remember
had
reading about it.
stuff, and what else did the Master System, because they had that like weird kind of like a thing where you could just like not download games, you'd kind of stream them. It was like a weird ass service.
Oh yeah. I remember that. That's funny. There's like
Yeah, but
a version of Zelda that was like that too. Like you can only play it like a certain time.
yeah, and they've actually resurrected that shit. Like there's a way you can actually play it now, but like I don't know what insane fucking hoops they had to go through to do that. But you're right, Japan has always been way ahead of it when it comes to like online and connecting people. Whereas I feel like I remember when PlayStation first went online, I was like, this is the jankiest shit ever. Like it literally felt like you were taking like a fucking cup with a string, and like that's how you were playing this game. You're just like,
Oh yeah, it was peer to peer.
oh, it was so fucking bad. But actually,
Yeah.
you saying that, the reason I got this game initially, like the actual reason I got it, and I remember I had to go to fucking EB Games, and it had one copy left that was quote unquote new, even though it was fucking opened. And I bought it just because it was the only online fighting game at the time that I could get a hold of for the Xbox. Like that's
Oh
the
yeah.
main reason I bought it.
Yeah, it was so hard. Like because I like grew up playing like Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, like so many other people did, which I think is like hyper fighting, right? That's the version of Street Fighter. And you'd like play and you play with your friends and all that, but like you couldn't get like quality matches. Like you just, you're either like at the same level as them, and then that's great, but then you out sweat the other person, and then they get mad, they don't want to play anymore, they do other stuff. And like playing online was like, whoa, it's so good. It's like you get to go to the arcade and play with people that are like serious, and then you get to like have some fun, like really get the thrill of the game. And that was like so like mind blowing to me at the time, was playing online.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you're in your arcade, like you're essentially doing a tournament. Like, yeah, the person you're playing against can keep throwing in quarters, but odds are after one or two wins, they're gonna come, like they're gonna walk away, and you're gonna get a new like fighter. But unless you have a group of like 8 people that want to fucking play Street Fighter, you're not going to have that experience.
Oh yeah,
you're
definitely.
either going to be way better than the other person and like beat their face into the point where they don't want to play, or the opposite's going to happen, or you're going to get your ass kicked so many times that you're just going to want to quit playing the game. So I think like the online portion of these games is really, really important. And I'm glad they actually even thought to do it with this game, because they honestly could have just been like, here's another 2D fighting game at home. Have fun, guys, and then just not done any of the online stuff.
I don't think PS2 had online. So let me backtrack. So PS2 in Japan had online, and then in it released on PlayStation 2 in America, and then all these versions that I've mentioned. So the Naomi one is like that's the original one. The Dreamcast one is like 98% arcade accurate. The PlayStation 2 one is like 99% arcade accurate, but it runs at a faster clock speed. It's like ever so slightly faster. And then the American one came out before the GameCube one and the Xbox one. Now, the GameCube and the Xbox released with some patches and a few like balance changes, but it came out as like Capcom vs SNK 2 EO. So
easy operation.
Yep,
Yeah.
which is like a clever idea. Like it definitely has a place. I just think that you sacrificed a lot to get that easy operation. Like, so what that was is, instead of doing your normal like command inputs, like your quarter circle forward, punch, or your Shoryuken motion or anything like that, you could use the right thumbstick on whichever controller it was, and you press it in a direction, and like how fast you snap it, kind of like how like Smash has like the tilt attacks or the smash attacks in Ultimate, and it'd do a move. And then if you wanted to punch or kick, you would have to hit either the left or right trigger, and the harder that you hit it would determine the like light, medium, heavy of it. And I think it would have worked if they did the face buttons for your light, medium, heavy punches, and then you did your command inputs, like your specials and supers, with the right thumbstick. But with the triggers, like in the having to hit it at different pressures, it was too finicky.
Yeah, it was I remember trying it and being like, this is really weird, but also like really fucking easy. Like I can imagine it being great for somebody if you're trying to ease somebody into the game and you're like, hey, I'm gonna play this way, but like if you want to try this mode, this easy operation mode to be able to get off supers a little bit easier, then like go for it. That would make sense to me, because even nowadays I'll talk to people that play other games and they're like, I can't do a quarter circle like in attack, like it just doesn't work, like my thumbs don't do that. So I can imagine for those types of people, it would be way easier to get into something like this, because they don't have to worry about like, oh man, am I doing like a Shoryuken style attack, or is it like, oh, I don't get it. They could just fucking flick the stick and be done with it, and they're gonna get an attack that's actually gonna do some damage if it lands.
Yeah, and I honestly like as a player of these games, like I don't like yeah, I do want to like test my skill against other people, but at the same time I just want to have like quality matches. It's like all I want to do is fight somebody like somewhere like around or above my skill level, so that I can like feel the thrill of like the dance of like playing. You're like having a conversation with the other person as you're playing, really, and the EO kind of, it's like a translator, right? Like they can't speak the language of the fighting game, but the EO kind of can like Google translate it for them, and then you can have conversations with different people if using the conversation analogy. So I thought it was a great idea. They probably could have implemented it better, but they've kind of implemented some stuff like that in some more modern fighting games, where you can press a button and it'll shortcut to like a special move, but it's on like a cooldown timer. And if you do the normal command input, it is like you can just do it without a cooldown timer. I think that's like a kind of an elegant way of doing it.
Yeah, I also think like the smart way to do it, I think, would be like, let's say you use one move more than you use another. Maybe just have that map to a specific button, so that way, like, you're pressing that button, you're getting a Hadouken. You're like, that's the move that you're getting your fireball out without having to do that quarter circle motion, and
Yeah.
it kind of would work nicely. I feel like it would work better that way, because there are certain moves that are way less consistent to pull off. Like, I can pull off a Shoryuken probably 4 out of 5 times, but that 5th time I'm gonna fucking whiff it and I'm gonna eat something. But like, if you can just like hit that button on wake up and get a Shoryuken, yeah, that's gonna be pretty sweet. Now, that being said, it can kind of break the game too. But I mean, if you're using it as a player that doesn't know like all the moves and all the mechanics of the game, then I think that would be a definite like evening out of the playing field if you could do that consistently.
Yeah. The so the other parts about the EO release, right? It released on the GameCube, which is like just I don't know how anybody can play that game on that controller. And then so yeah, the reviews for that game were like trash on the GameCube.
Yeah, because that analog stick it wasn't even like it wasn't rounded. It had the literally like, it's hard to explain. It's like a stop sign almost. So I can't even imagine. Gate. Yeah, so it's like I can't even imagine trying to pull off moves using that. And the D-pad's good enough, but just the button scheme on a GameCube controller. If you look at a GameCube controller right now, like in retrospect, it kind of looks like an alien made it. Like, it doesn't look like you should be able to fucking use that thing. So I can understand why the reviews for that game would be bad.
That was a octagonal gate, my bad. For all you all you geometry nerds, yeah, it's an octagon, my bad. So yeah, so they did a few things too with the EO, right? And this is probably why you don't know about certain glitches, right? They patched a lot of glitches out in the EO versions, right? So roll canceling, which is something that I showed you a little earlier,
that was not super a thing. Fun.
Oh yeah, if you don't know how to deal with it, it is incredibly oppressive. But if you do know how to deal with it, then it's not the worst. It's just like part of the game. But the execution on it is like just disgusting. It's very, very hard. So like if I'm playing against somebody that like could consistently roll cancel against me, I'm like, all right, I respect the sweat,
Yeah, so, it definitely is not fun to play against, because it's just like, oh my god, it's essentially like being kind of invulnerable for a short period of time. It's not fun.
Yep, it is. I'll explain that. I got on the notes on all the glitches and stuff, like when we talk about, what's going on with the game, like how it plays and all that.
Yeah.
The beating heart of this game is the groove system. This is what makes this game different from other games. And Street Fighter Alpha 3 kind of has a little bit of this, right, with their isms, which is pretty cool. But the Capcom vs SNK 2 just like took it to the next level. So instead of having 3 isms, right, you have 6 grooves. Is CAP Capcom, SNK for SNK. So there's 6 grooves that you can pick from, and those grooves will kind of give you your abilities, like whether or not you can block in the air, or if you got a dodge roll like in King of Fighters, or if you have like a step back like in King of Fighters, or if you got a parry, or if you have just defend like Garu Mark of the Wolves, or custom combos like Street Fighter Alpha. Like it's just all that stuff is just picked before you even pick your characters, which is there's 44 characters in the arcade version. There's 48 characters in the console version if you unlock them all. So, you got 7 times 48 different characters basically, because the grooves will make the characters play very differently. So that's like just incredible for the time, the amount of characters and like variety and replay value that this has.
And we're not even talking about the fact that like the groove system itself kind of dictates how you're going to gain your super momentum. So like the grooves not only give you like your air block and your parry and your tech roll, but they also like certain characters will get their special meter by blocking more or taking more damage. Like if you're using a specific groove, you're going to get your specials mostly from that. Whereas another groove, you would have to actually like kind of think of like Dragon Ball Fighters, where you'd have to actually charge up to get your special ability, which is cool because it means you're not going to have to worry about like attacking to get your special meter up, but you're definitely going to have to at some point in time hang back and hold 2 buttons down and stand there pretty much with your pants down so you can actually like get power. And each groove has a different way to accrue your super meter. So like you literally have to like, that's just like one piece of the puzzle, because I'm sure Steve's going to get into it next, but like this isn't just like a 1v1 fighting game, it's a team fighting game, and that plays a lot into what grooves you pick and like how you're going to use each character that you have.
Yeah, so this is like traditionally a team fighter, right? Like you don't have to pick 3 characters. So we're just like arcade, right? I'm just going to talk about the arcade version. I can kind of clean up with a little housekeeping on the console versions, because the console versions give you a few more options. But arcade mode, pop a quarter in, and it just boom smacks you in the groove select screen. So the first thing you do is you just pick from any of the grooves, and then the next thing you do is you're on the character select screen. So you can pick up to 3 characters. With those 3 characters, there's a ratio system, right? You have 4 points, right? 4 ratios you can assign between up to 3 characters, and there's like pros and cons to that. So if you typically what's considered optimal is you pick 3 characters, 2 of them have 1 ratio, the other one has 2, and usually the 2 1 ratio characters are in the front, and the 2 ratio character is the last. That's your comeback mechanic. But 1 ratio characters, they have 80% health. So this game is balanced around 2 ratio characters. So 1 ratio characters have 80% health, they do 82% damage. 2 ratio characters have 100% health and damage. 3 ratio characters have 117% health and damage, and ratio 4 have 140% health, 130% damage. So if you're good at math, the math doesn't add up to do a ratio 4. Like it's fun. Like don't get me wrong. Like big Zongi, it can be a lot of fun, especially if like you're just like way better than the other person. Like you can just really just clap fools. But yeah. So typically it's a team fighter. It'll be 3 versus 3, and then there's no like real rounds. It's like King of Fighters, right? When you kill the other team, that's it, you win. And then there's a 99-second counter on the time, right? That's like by default. So that's it. And then you can switch the order of your characters in the after the ratio select. So after you select your characters, you assign them ratios, like your points, and then there's just a screen showing like who these characters versus these characters, and in that screen you can hit like the 2 light buttons, the 2 medium buttons, or the 2 heavy buttons to like switch your order, because like they represent those 2 things. So you can swap your order around, and then that's it. You just play the game.
Yeah, that I find really cool because it's kind of like playing. It's as if you were playing a sports game. So let's say you're playing Madden, and you're picking your plays. That's essentially what you're doing. So once you get to that versus screen where it's showing the matchup itself right after you select your characters, let's say for whatever reason, like the matchup that you think is going to happen doesn't seem optimal to you. So you're like, oh shit, like they've picked Sagat and I have Sakura and I'm not going to be able to, like, I can't take out a Sagat with her. So you can just flip it around. But with that being said, the other person can also change the order of their characters. So it's kind of a guessing game, and just like, what do you prefer going in with when you're going into battle? Like, do you want your strongest like level 1 fighter first, or do you want to just like dip your toe in and put like the crappiest character that you picked up in front to kind of like test the water for the fight?
Just get bodied.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to think that there's so much strategy involved with this game, because like from the very first screen where you're selecting your ratio, you have to plan ahead. Like, okay, I'm selecting, like, let's say I'm selecting A ratio. A ratio essentially has custom combos. Like that's one of the active abilities for it. So you could, once you select that, you got to be like, well, who do I know can like combo well enough that I can utilize this specific function of this ratio to like beat my opponent.
Yeah. The grooves, the grooves definitely, like, some characters play way better in some grooves than others.
Yeah.
And then the tier lists are like dependent on, like, this character is really good, but like it absolutely best in this groove.
Yeah, and like is it K Groove's the one that you take damage and you build meter, right? So
yep.
You have certain characters that might actually be beneficial to. Like if you know you're going to be blocking a lot and on the defense and trying to like, you know, you're going to be taking damage based on the character that you have, you might want to go with K Groove because you're going to build that meter really quickly and then be able to retaliate better. It's like for example, in the Xbox version, I remember Shinakuma has a fucking glass jaw. Like, you look at Shinakuma funny, and he's essentially going to lose part of his health. But with that being said, if you have him with K Groove, and he's taking damage like super fast, guess what? He's going to be able to pump out super fast. And that's a valid strategy for the game. You pick him, he takes a couple of hits, then all of a sudden, bam, next thing you know, he's got fucking raging demon coming towards you, and you're getting your ass whipped.
From space.
Yeah, or the like flying karate chop that comes from the sky and just decimates you. Like, these are things, and we've played this game for so long. Like, we've clocked in so many fucking hours into this game, and I still feel like if I'm playing it now, I'm still learning new shit. Like, I'm not Yeah, I have nowhere near the skill ceiling. But the craziest part is, and I've told people this, like when I've played 2D fighters with other people, like I'll play any Street Fighter game now, and I can use any character in that game and wreck house. Like, even if I haven't even touched the game before, like, this game has essentially trained me to the point where I can pick up almost any 2D fighter and hold my own because amount of variety in this game. Like, you can't just play this game and not learn new things that would apply to other games. There's so much in here that this game trains you in that you can just apply it to pretty much almost any other 2D fighter like in the world, probably with the exception of like fucking Mortal Kombat, but I don't even count that shit.
High level Mortal Kombat is like hilarious to watch because it's like they kind of sprint up to each other and kind of like jab at the air. It's like stop. It's like The Simpsons with Bart and Lisa like swinging their arms and kicking in the air, and then just like one person hits the other and they're dead. Like that's what high level Mortal Kombat looks like to me. At least like old Mortal Kombat.
No, well, even now, like, no, the combo systems in the new Mortal Kombats are they're just dial a combo. So
yeah, it's all target combos, right?
Yeah, like the new Mortal
Kombat
games.
Make the connections, slap all the buttons real fast, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff in that game. So this game obviously came out so long ago that there isn't anything like damage scaling, or like you don't really have to worry about the mechanics that are built into games now. Like, now I feel like let's say for some reason somebody figures out an infinite combo in Mortal Kombat 11 or whatever, the damage scaling is going to kick in at some point, and they're just going to be doing like they're going to be losing like 1 point for every time you hit them versus like 10, because the game's going to realize like, yo, we've pretty much broken shit, and this is how we're going to fix it. But like, if you could, there are essentially infinite combos in this game that you could fucking do with a groove. So like,
well, you only got like 7 seconds or whatever to like do your combo.
Yeah.
But, like, some people be doing work. There's an infinite combo. Kim has an infinite combo in C groove.
Oh, I'm not surprised. If anybody would, like, fucking Captain Kim Kick over there probably would be the person to do it.
Yeah, I think you need like level 2, like his high kick or whatever. It knocks him in the air, and then you do the stomp, and then you cancel the stomp, and then you do it again and again and again and again, and it kills him. But it's like it's really hard to pull off. It's not easy.
Yeah, well, like everything in this game, like nothing in this game is easy. It's really it. If somebody picked up this game tomorrow that had never fucking played it, and they went up against somebody that's played it for years, like it would be like, oh my god,
there'd be slaughter.
Like be beating a small child. Like there's no way that they would be able to hold their own unless they're fucking some sort of like superhuman, because there's so much shit that you have to account for in this game. Like I remember the first time we started dabbling with the groove system, and like you started using Shinakuma with K groove, and I was like, fuck, I hit you 2 times and you already have your fucking raging demon. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
And like having somebody else like having to explain grooves to somebody, or having to like talk to them about like how the ratio system works it's just a lot to have to deal with. But with that being said, that doesn't make this game inaccessible. It just has a very like it's been around so long that there's so much people have learned about it, that the longer you play this game, the more like the better you're going to get at it. Like this isn't like for example, like I play Mortal Kombat 11 every now and again. That game's skill ceiling is actually it's pretty low because of the way the combo system works. So like you could go through the training mode in that game, learn a bunch of combos, and easily hold your own online. I feel like this game is that, like, if people are still playing it online, they would probably wreck 90% of the people out there that think they know anything about fighting games.
There's some like, we'll talk about that later, but this game beats you in the head with the fundamentals. Like if you do not have fundamentals, you are going to die, or you are going to learn the fundamentals. Like you need to have like just this game. Just so people are like, oh, third strike, it's so hard. Like, dude, third strike's like decent, but this game, like the inputs, like you got to be crisp with your inputs. Like third strike, you just buffer so much easier. Like I have no issues doing like any of like the really like quote unquote hard combos in like third strike compared to these.
Oh,
like,
no.
There's so many. This game is just so it's all links, and it's just so precise. Not saying that like it's Street Fighter's all links too, but you know some people have target combos like Dudley and Yun and all them. But mostly it's all links. Like Morrigan has target combos, right? That's why like when I was starting to mix you up with her, it was just like boom 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 boom, just tons of fucking hits, and you're just like, oh man, I just need to wait my turn.
And it's coming from it's like so fast and so fucking like you don't have time to think about how you're going to get out of it once you're in it.
Oh yeah, Morrigan's a nightmare.
Yeah, you have to know what's coming and really plan for it. Whereas for example, Logan, right? So Logan beat my ass up, down, sideways in Smash Brothers, and my retaliation to him was I picked up the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, and I literally told him, like, this is a conversation. I was like, you can pick any game in this collection, literally any one. Yeah, and I was like, and I will wreck you. And he's like, no way. He's like, there's no way. He's like, there's like 14 games or whatever in this thing. And I'm like, pick one. And he picked Street Fighter Third Strike. And I told him straight up, I was like, I have never played this game before. Like, I have played a lot of Street Fighter games, but I never touched the Third Strike series, and I barely touched the Alpha series. Like,
Alpha's good.
Yeah, I've been playing Alpha recently, and Alpha's good. But dude, you have no idea. I wrecked him so hard, and he's like, dude, there's no way you haven't played this game before. I'm like, nope, I've never played this game before, but like, I can play 2D fighters. Like, you name the 2D fighter, even if I haven't played it, I guarantee I'll hold my own in it
Oh,
because
I
I
don't
know.
know, man. Guilty Gear, Melty Blood, those things are like, they're
Uh,
whole other animals, dude.
yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
let's just say like your like Street Fighters, your King of Fighters, those kinds. Like, well, let's limit it to that, because like,
okay, yeah, yeah.
boy oh boy,
Well,
people be getting down at Guilty Gear, and I'm like, bro, I don't even know what I'm doing.
I'm pretty good with like BlazBlue. I'm decent in Guilty Gear, but not like remotely as good as a lot of people. But even still, even those games though, the fundamentals in that this game has taught me, they do translate pretty much everywhere a 2D fighter. Like, as long as it's a 2D fighter, it'll translate. Like I said, with the exception of like Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat's its own thing.
Or
Like Mortal Kombat, Injustice, like that shit, just like
Marvel vs. Capcom, and like those ones, like your Street
yeah,
Fighter,
the
X-Men vs.
Flash.
Street Fighter, those guys, all those games are a whole nother. I love watching them, but like I get bodied online. Like it's just not even like I can't even learn. That's how above me that people are online.
Yeah, it those like flashy games. And I will like amend my statement a little bit. Killer Instinct is also a game where the systems really do not correlate well. Especially the new Killer Instinct. Oh my god, like the way frames and stuff work in that game. Oh, it's brutal. It is really really brutal. And even going through.
Up, and I'm like, this seems fun, but I need somebody to like dojo with, really.
Yeah, my one of my friends I used to play D&D with was heavy into not Guilty Gear, heavy into Killer Instinct. Like, was playing that shit online all day, every day. Just, it was insane. And I tried to play against him like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is it's a beating. Like, I was getting beaten so bad.
Yeah.
It was like Mike Tyson versus like a 4-year-old. Like, I couldn't even touch him half the time. It was horrible. So I actually I still like playing the game. I don't play it online. Like, I'll run the arcade ladder. If I have a friend come over, like, sure, I'll play it a little bit, but I am not playing that game competitively.
Yeah,
that's like one of the games it doesn't translate to. Like, it's its own thing for sure.
Yeah, it's like saying like the language analogy I used earlier. Like, you just don't want to put in the effort to like speak the language to be able to have these conversations.
And that game's very combo heavy too, though, because of the way the linkers and everything work. It's a whole new fighting system compared to something like this, where this game's like combos essentially are just you linking like your low medium punches, and that you're normally gonna do like a jump in or a crossover, hit a couple times with like a light medium combo, and then like finish it with some sort of special move.
Yeah,
that
maybe
game's like that
into a super.
Yeah, something like that. Whereas Killer Instinct's like, no, you're going the long haul unless somebody breaks your combo, and yeah, it's just like a whole different system.
Yeah, and they got counter breakers and stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. That's a pretty decent game. I just don't have the time.
Yeah, I don't have the time for it either. It's great though. It's super good. It's just I can't do it. I don't have the willpower apparently.
So let's get us back on track. So let me explain the grooves here, right? As far as the groove tier list, so arcade wise, like it's K groove is the best. I think it's equal with A. K and A are like the best. Then C, then N, then P, then S. S groove, like, just, it's trash. I like it. It is the groove I play. Not when I'm trying to get super sweat, but that's the groove that I play normally. I go to C for like when I'm trying to do a little sweat. But so in the EO game, K is like just because A and C have roll cancel, they can be competitive. But in the EO version, K is like just undisputed king. And then it's A. It's the same groove, same system basically. It's KA, but it's like K and A are like equal in the arcade. And then the C can kind of like get up there. Like there are some lab monsters that are making C come up. And if you watch Evo, like Dr. B, I think he got in the finals this year, and he plays S groove. So Like you can work it if you're good, but yeah, A Groove is currently like the one that um, Boss plays. Is like D44 BAS. This dude is like just he's a monster. He's a very he's incredible execution and just overall like just good mind games. Like it's a pleasure to watch like really high level CVS2 play. So I'll just start in like no particular order. So C Groove's basically like your Street Fighter Alpha 3 Aism, right? So you can roll. It's like you can roll forward. So it's like your King of Fighters roll. You can't roll backwards, only forward. And you got like 20 something frames of invulnerability on average. Some characters have better rolls than others. You can air block. You have 3 levels of super, 1, 2, and 3, and that depending on what button you execute the super with, it'll come out either level 1, level 2, or level 3. And the level 1s have like not a lot of invulnerability frames. Level 2s have more, and you can cancel out of them. Level 3s have a lot of invulnerability frames. They do the most damage. You can alpha counter, so that's like if you take if you take a hit and you're blocking, while you're still in block stun, you can just smash forward in the two medium punch, medium kick, and you'll do like a counter attack. Some characters it's a lot better than others. Some characters use like Blanca. You do not want to alpha counter with Blanca. He's just trash with that. It's the only bad thing about Blanca is his alpha counter is bad. So, um, and that burns a super level, right? So C Groove's pretty good. Like you got 3 levels of super, and then you have so you can alpha counter more. So you have a thing. It's called like tactical recovery, I think. So you basically after you hit the ground, you can press like 2 punch buttons or all 3, whatever, and you'll get up like I think it's like 5 or 10 frames slower. So that kind of can mess up people's like wake up game. Like if they're trying to hit you with like meaties, like trying to hit you on the way up, the slow get up can mess up that timing. And then you get a standard like Street Fighter dash. You can go back and forward. You have a 48 unit guard bar. Basically, that's like the standard in the game. Like some of the grooves have less guard bar, so you can get your guard broken in this game. And then you have 168 units for your meter, so it's like 55 per super, which doesn't really mean a lot to you. But you get super pretty quick. You can get level 1 pretty fast. And the cool things about this one is like you can roll cancel and you can air block. Those are 2 super cool things. So roll canceling is a glitch in this game. It's kind of like Kara throwing in your Street Fighter 3. So if you like Guilty Gear has some Kara throwing in like Potemkin, right? So you could hit a button and then cancel that button into a special, right? But that move, so for the Kara throw at least, that move will move you forward a little bit, and then you can throw from a further distance. So what this does is you roll, and then within 3 frames, the game runs at 60 frames a second. If you can get your move out, you will have the invulnerability frames of the roll while doing the special. So within 3 frames, you gotta hit roll, execute the move. It's super sweat. But it
That's
is
some pretty tight timing you got there.
yeah. But once you kind of get the muscle memory down, like some stuff's a lot easier than others. But the roll canceling makes makes any roll groove like way more competitive if you can do it. But sometimes you take stupid risks because you're like, oh, let me just roll cancel and like so Boss, he's like very very good execution monster. He said like he can only get it about 60% of the time. So that kind of gives you an idea of like, how often it works. But if you do it a couple of times and stuff people, they kind of will just assume you're going to do it all the time, and they'll just kind of let you.
They try to work around it.
Yeah. So they just like, ooh, that didn't work. I'm not going to try that again. So you can kind of program people to like do stuff that maybe they should be doing because you're not as good as they might think you are. So it definitely gets in the mind games. So that's C Groove. You can cancel out of your level 2s. Your level 2 supers can cancel out of stuff. So you can do some really cool slick combos doing like a level 2 canceling into a special, like, and then canceling like the special into like another level 1. So there's like really slick stuff online if you see. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, honestly, like if I'm gonna start playing this game, let's say I'm a new player, C groove would probably be the groove that I go with,
It's
just
the
because
easiest to pick up.
yeah, it's the easiest pickup. It has a really good set of functions to it. Specifically the roll. Like the roll is like, oh man, imagine playing like a 2D fighting game, but you have like the roll from Dark Souls.
Imagine
Like
King of Fighters, if you will.
yeah, it's just literally just like you can roll through a lot of shit. Given if somebody's anticipating your roll or you're doing it a lot, they can just like toss your ass right out of it.
Yes, you're
But
strike
that roll,
invulnerable, but you're not throw invulnerable.
yeah, but you're talking about like Hadoukens. You can roll through fireballs. You can roll through, like especially if somebody, let's say, is notorious for jump kicking. If they're coming in with like from the air with a kick and you roll past them, you can, if you time it perfectly, you can come out behind them and hit like a low kick or a sweep before they even know what the hell's going on. It's so useful to have, and that's just like one of the things that Groove gives you. That's not including like your like air blocks or the fact that your super gauge is kind of the easiest super gauge to utilize out of the ones in this game in particular. It just builds very quickly for the most part, and the fact that you have like the 3 different levels of super, so you can you'll get your level 1 so fast that if you really get into the shit early on, you can pop that level 1 super to like either get you out of a corner or get you out of a sticky situation or counter something that's coming at you that is like that you can blatantly see. So if you're good with execution, like that flexibility that those meters gives you is really really good in C groove. Like C groove normally is the one I'll go to when I play the game, just because I'm so used to it. It's just I've played it since the beginning, and occasionally I'll do like a K groove or an A groove if I really want to be wacky. But the A groove's more just for playing around with the custom combo thing.
Oh yeah, totally. You can do some funny customs. Yeah, so C groove is yeah, it's the easiest to learn if you're coming from like a Street Fighter, for sure. Especially like if you're familiar with the Alpha series, it should feel very, very familiar. A Groove is like Street Fighter Alpha 2, like Vism, so that's like the custom combo. It's a little different. It's not quite the same. Like the custom combo in Alpha 2, I think like your like Shadow also hits like after you hit, so there's like a lot of extra hits that you can get from that. But so A Groove has the roll, an alpha counter, a dash. It has a safe fall in quotations. Basically, like as soon as you hit the ground, you like get up. You're incredibly vulnerable when that happens though, so you want to be super careful because if you start doing it too much, you just Bison's slide kick is made to punish that. Just like that. If I start playing against somebody and I'm Bison and they start doing that too much, you just slide kick. Every time you knock somebody down, slide kick. You're gonna just like tear them apart. So it's 72 units per level of super with that, right? So it's a little more than the 55 for A Groove. You can only get 2 supers with A Groove, and they can only be level 1 supers. You can, when your meter's all the way full, you can press heavy punch, heavy kick, and you'll activate the custom combo, and it like kind of burns, it ticks down your meter, and you have like a 7.2 seconds approximately to do your combo. If at any time while you do your custom combo you do a super, it just burns all the rest of your meter. So usually what happens is you'll do your combo and then like the last second or whatever you'll like do your super. So you just do this big long like combo into a super, and that's how you get like your optimal damage. You can't block while your custom combo is activated, so it's basically like go time when you activate it. But you can activate it like while you jump, like you can activate it in the air. You can activate it on the ground. When you activate it, you have I think it's 20 something frames of invulnerability. So you can kind of like if you know like you knock somebody down and they like pressing buttons, like as soon as they get up, you can like activate in their face and just destroy them. So that invulnerability can be like really useful. If you watch boss play at all a lot, sometimes he'll just activate to not get hit, which is like such a flex. But like
Well, I mean, it's there. It's in vulnerability frames. Like
yeah, it's a tool
I
to
mean,
be
use
used.
them when you can.
Yep. So then that's A groove is like probably like you can get some disgusting damage out um if you're good at executing. Like Sakura is like a monster in A groove. So is Bison, Blanca, and Yori can be. He actually has a block string um, custom combo that he wants you to block. If you block it, you take like more chip damage than you would if you don't block it. It's ridiculous, but like it
That's
just
fucking weird.
chews through you. It's his like uppercut. He just does it like over and over and over again. It just melts your health. And then there's also like a lot of really silly ones. Like I personally like Dan. He's got like a hurricane kick sort of thing. And if you get somebody in the air, you can juggle them forever. So you basically do that, and then every time you do it, you can cancel it into another one. And you just go slowly up the right side of the screen or the left side of the screen up into space.
Send them to space.
Yeah, Kyosuke actually has one like that too, and he has an air super, so you can for like extra flex, you can just kind of do his it's not a flash kick, it's like a quarter circle forward kick. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again, and then like what you're way off the screen, you just like cancel into the super and like a bunch of extra hits, and then slowly like that dude's corpse just falls to the ground. It's just super funny. So A Groove is super flashy and fun. A Groove was one of the ones that I used to play at first because I couldn't really do supers. So I've dabbled around with A Groove a lot, but I didn't get a lot of success with it. But that was my first groove when I started like playing seriously. So P Groove's kind of like your Street Fighter 3 series, right? But it has like the trappings of Third Strike. Like all the other Street Fighter 3s had a parry, but like Third Strike had like a cool parry noise. So that's like people remember that. So you can parry. Um, the timing of the parry is a lot harder than it is in Third Strike in this game. Like it is people parrying in this game, they're G's. Like people parrying in Third Strike are also good, but like this is like if you see somebody parrying in this game like they're playing Third Strike, this person sweats a lot. You get a low jump, right? That's kind of like to emulate the instant overhead that you get in Third Strike, and then you get a dash and then a slow get up. Um, you get 38 guard bar units, so you have like significantly less than every other. So you really got to be parrying if you're doing this. And then the super bar is there's one level, right? It's kind of like your super turbo. It's just you have one super and it is big. It's 192 units. It is the slowest meter to fill in the game.
Yeah, good luck doing that with a 4 ratio character.
Yep.
Have fun.
And then the you can parry in the air, which is pretty nice. Like you can do some cool stuff with that. If you watch any Third Strike, it's pretty common like for people to do that. And then the whole point of the parry is like you fill some meter. It doesn't do any guard bar damage, and then you'll get some frame advantage. So you can usually counter attack with some pretty cool stuff. Then we have S Groove, which is kind of like King of Fighters 94, 98. So S Groove is you press the two light buttons and you can kind of dodge to the background. And the dodge to the background has like a 3-stage process. The whole time you're invulnerable, it's like I can't remember how many frames it is. But in the middle stage, when you're kind of just standing still, you can either press punch or kick, and you'll do like a counter poke. And each character is different, but one poke knocks the other person down and like sends them flying, and the other one is like a normal attack, but it can cancel into specials and supers, which like if you get good with execution, you can really make people hate their lives if they get in your face and you dodge on them. You can hold the heavy punch, heavy kick, and you'll charge your meter up, kind of like Dragon Ball Z. When it fills up, it kind of ticks down slow. While that's happening, you get 115% damage. So you do 15% more damage. If you have red, like if your life is in the red, it'll flash. You'll have infinite level 1 supers. If your gauge is full while your life is red, you'll have a level 3 super that does 120% of its normal damage. You can run in that
Yeah, that's
groove.
a big boy if you get tagged though. Like,
Yeah,
God,
it hurts.
if you're playing like Sagat or something and you're landing like the level 3, it's like that person is going to feel it very very hard. If they have like less than half their life, they're probably gonna fucking die.
Oh yeah, it does a lot of damage. One of my favorite things to see in this, and I started picking up Rugal for this, but I haven't really figured Rugal out entirely. If you do like your level 3, he does that like run and smash you into the wall super. So he'll run and smash you into the wall, run and smash you into the wall, right? So that's a level 3. But as soon as that's done, you can cancel into your like genocide cutter super. So you can get like 4 levels of
Oh
super.
man,
Dude melts people's
Jesus,
health. Yeah, it's brutal. It's super cool. You can
that's
cancel
rough.
you can cancel the level 1 into the level 1 as well. So you can with him you can do cancel like level 1 smash into the wall, level 1 genocide cutter super. It's like all the grooves will do it if you can do level 1s. It's pretty neat. Rugal has some sweet combos. So the super bar is 100 units. So it fills slower. It's tough. The charge is super fast when you're not in red life. If you're in red life, it goes slow.
Mm.
So you get run, slow get up, alpha counters. You can only burn the super bar for the alpha counter, so it's very like not always. You don't always have it. And then short hop, right? So short hops are like incredibly abusive if you can do them. And then we have N groove, which is like your King of Fighters 98 groove. It's got like you can store levels of super and you can kind of like pop them with the heavy punch heavy kick and you'll get like 14 seconds of 120% damage for most of your attacks. And then you can do a level 3 super if you burn another super. So you can do level 1s and level 3s with N groove. You can roll, you can alpha counter. This one has like everything. So you can roll, you can
Mm.
alpha counter, you can guard roll, right? So guard rolling is you get hit, and then while you're in block stun, I do it by accident all the time when I'm in groove. If you hit the light punch, light kick, and a direction, either forwards or backwards, you'll get out of block stun and move to like either backwards or forwards, and then you burn a super. It can be super like incredibly useful, but I don't use it a lot. Then you get low jump, so your short hops still, and then you get safe fall and a run. So this has
Hmm.
just about everything. Yeah, this is a super rush down. So you get
Yeah,
like,
the run's weird to see any time in one of these games. So
oh yeah,
like, you might want to just like load up a character and just check out the run
oh
animation,
Joe,
just to see what it looks like.
Joe's run is like top tier. He just looks so goofy. It's the best. So it's like 72 per bar, and you can get like 3 full and then 1 extra bar. So it's kind of like you can have 4, and then you have a normal guard bar. One cool thing you can do with Ngroove is you can alpha counter if you've activated already. So you can, if you have like full bars, you can alpha counter and then like level 3 super off of it, depending on the character. Like Bison's really good for that. So that's like, it could completely turn a match around, which is really hype to see. And then you have K Groove, which is as you get hit, your bar fills. When it fills all the way up, you turn bright red, and then it ticks down, and you do 135% damage for normals, 130% damage for special, and 110% damage for supers. But all your supers are level 3, so they like hit incredibly hard. You get about 15 seconds of that. You can usually get that 2 times per round. So you get 2 very powerful level 3 supers per round. This is one of the reasons why it's just very good. It's also pretty easy to learn because if you get hit, you get kind of a built-in comeback mechanic. Then it has
Yeah,
Just Defend. That's from Garu Mark of the Wolves. I think Garu is King of Fighters. That's that game's character. The main character is Rock. Fun fact. And then the rage comes from Samurai Showdown. So you can do Just Defend. It's kind of like parrying, right? So parrying, when you're just about to get hit, if you press forward, you'll do a parry. With Just Defend, if you press backwards at the like very last second, you'll do something similar to a parry, and you'll gain health and meter for it. So you get 100, I think it's 100 units of health and 6 units of meter. So it's pretty significant. I think the
yeah.
meter is like 72, so 2 or 3 Just Defends will get you like halfway through your, like you'll be sitting pretty. A couple Just Defends and you're like doing all right. Your rage meter saves in between rounds, which is really good.
Yeah, you can get like a lot of level 3 supers with K Groove if you're doing 3 characters. Like if you're playing 3 characters, it's insane. To comparatively give you an idea of like another groove, if you're using C Groove, usually it will take you about a round to a round and a half to get a level 3 super. Usually it's closer to a round and a half. So you'll go through probably your first character or the first round against someone, and then probably around like the midway point of the second round is when you'll actually get like a level 3. And that's if you're not popping level 1s left, right, and center. So K Groove is getting a lot of super.
Yeah, and the super has like a lot of invulnerability, right? And it just hits incredibly hard. So K Groove has not a lot of systems, right? So it has Just Defend, which is like one of its big gimmicks. It has Run, and it has Low Jump and Safe Fall. That's it. So Safe Fall is just like you just kind of get up immediately. So this is like a big rush down one. Use runs and low jumps all day. You have 43 units of guard bar, so a little less. You can Just Defend in the air, which is kind of like parrying in the air, so you can do that. And then when you Just Defend,
but you don't get an air block, right?
You do not get an air block. The only groove that has an air block is C Groove.
Yeah, so you got to be baller. If you're Just Defending in the air, you got to be like, you're the man, you're the shit.
Yeah, and you can keep like Just Defending, like if you can hit people multiple times, and as you Just Defend, you get like popped up in the air a little bit, so you can kind of like send people like kind of high. There's some pretty silly match footage of that. I'll try to share it with you later. Yeah, so S Groove, one of the really shitty things about S Groove is you don't get to save your bar in between rounds, right? It's just always just resets. That's one of the reasons why S Groove is like kind of trash. I think if you could keep it, it would be a lot better. So those are the grooves. Each character will play a little different with each groove, but currently like K Groove Cammy is like ridiculous. K Groove Blanca, K Groove Sagat, and then you'll see a lot of like A Groove Blanca. Currently Bass plays Blanca, Bison, and Yamazaki, which is like he just started playing Yamazaki pretty recently. It's like Yamazaki's disgusting with him. So those are kind of like your top tier teams. There's a couple of like really high tier characters, and then there's just kind of most everybody else is kind of in the middle. So in like normal play, when you're not at like super high level, like this game can be like a lot of fun. Everybody can play randoms, and it's a good time. But like when you get to the highest level of play, there's like a couple of like really good characters that everybody just plays.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way it is.
It's a fighting game.
A lot of fighting games. Yeah, like it's a little bit better now. Like I feel like balancing's a little bit easier to do when it comes to tiers and things like that, because obviously you can just patch the shit out of your game and tweak as you go. But you have to remember, like back in the day, like if you're looking at your fighters from like the late 90s, early 2000s, like that wasn't really a thing. Like it was like you made the game, you hope it was as balanced as it can be, and then you pray you didn't put one broken ass character in it, you know?
Oh yeah, you had to come out the box balanced, which secret it never did. The Super Turbo is like super broken. Like there's just some like matchup, like people be complaining about bad matchups, dude. Play Super Turbo, you will see what a bad matchup is. I like all the Zangief players. Like I feel you. Like you're doing the Lord's work, because you are just everything's working against you. Cammy too. Cammy's trash in that game.
Yeah, but like that's the Street Fighter games though. Those Street Fighter games in the early days, because like there are so many fucking versions of that game in particular. Like Street Fighter 2, it's like, oh my god, and every one is fucking different.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm sorry, if you're playing the original Street Fighter 2, like just like Street Fighter 2, the shit that was in the original launch in the arcades.
It's kind of bad.
Like Hyper Street Fighter, or even I didn't have a Super Nintendo when I was younger. I had a Genesis.
So you had Championship Edition.
Yeah, I had the Championship Edition. Now, not only was that game like obviously a different form of Street Fighter, but I didn't have a fucking 6-button controller at the
Oh,
time.
you had to press start to switch.
Yeah, that shit sucked. It was awful. God. It was like a special kind of like punishment. And then I remember I got the 6-button controller when I think like Mortal Kombat 2 came out, and I was like, oh, this is the way the game was meant to be played. But that game was so fucking jank.
Yeah, I had it too.
Compared to some of the other versions, it was so bad. But like every Street Fighter, every time like a new Street Fighter would come out, first of all, they would like add 2 characters, take away a character here, put a character in there. Like every version just had like a completely different roster. Like it had like the 8 main characters, but like the last like few would change from each edition to the game. Like certain editions had like Fei Long. Some was it Fei Long? Yeah.
Yeah, Fei Long, and then T-Hawk. Yeah, DJ.
T-Hawk. Yeah. And some of them didn't. Like I remember, I'm 90% sure Championship Edition didn't have Balrog in it, and I was like,
huh.
But I've seen him in other games, and I don't understand why he's not in this. I can't remember.
I'm gonna have to play it. I'm gonna have to find out later.
No, it might have. It might have had him and I think it was him and Vega, but it didn't have Fei Long. It didn't have T-Hawk.
Yeah, none of the new fighters.
Yeah, none of the new fighters. I was like, what the shit? This is weird. But like, yeah, those games were so. Each individual version of that game had like it just changed the entire roster of that game. Even though the main characters were the same, the fucking tier levels were all over the place.
Like if you're a Chun-Li player and you're like playing Super Nintendo and then you go to play Super Turbo, you're like, what even? Shit, Chun-Li's a charge character. You're like, what?
They're just changing all sorts of shit. Like, but as time went on, I think they did a lot better with balancing stuff. By the time this game came out, I mean, 2D fighting games were everywhere. King of Fighter series was like riding high for quite a while before this happened too.
Yep.
So like there's a lot of good balancing stuff happening. This game, it's honestly pretty miraculous that this game isn't completely broken considering the roster in it.
Yeah, right.
And every time I look at the roster, I'm like, I don't understand how it's even remotely. Given there are just like garbage tier characters, and yes, like there aren't many of them, but they do exist. And the thing about this game is that the grooves actually can make a garbage tier character really good depending on the groove you use. So I think that's where a lot of the balancing stuff comes into play. Like the grooves can just tweak everything just enough to make like a character that's almost unusable actually pretty playable, or in some cases actually really good.
Oh yeah, you can definitely do some gimmicks with some of the grooves. Like Morrigan, without a run, she's not that great. Because she runs like she does in Darkstalkers, so she like kind of flies up, and then you can jump from the run because it's a run, so you can jump. But when she's running, she's in the air, so you have to block high. But if she does it like really quickly, she can kind of like hop over you and do like little crossovers if you're ducking, and like you can just she can get the mixer going real hard. I was playing against Smug. He's like a pro fighting game player, and I was playing against him yesterday, and I was like, let me get that Morrigan, dude. He fucking mixed the shit. I was so bad, dude. I was like, because I'm trying to learn how to like not have that happen, and he's pretty good at it, so just like he's whooped my shit, dude. But it's good. Like, every time I play against him, I learn some stuff, so it's good. But Morrigan, like high level Morrigan, is like just if you can't figure it out, you're dead.
But I mean, a lot of characters in this game are like that. Like honestly, like your Zangief today, because we were playing a few matches before we started talking, and like I remember trying Zangief, and I used to be pretty good with them, but like you were doing some shit.
Yeah, I was pretty oppressive with him.
Yeah, it was making me pretty like, I was like, how the fuck am I even gonna hit you? Like half of my attacks were going straight up through you, and the other half of my attacks were I was getting knocked out of by like the fucking lariat. So I was like, what the shit do I do?
Yeah, roll cancel lariat can be rough if you don't know how to deal with it.
But yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I've never even seen that before. I've been playing this game for fucking 2 decades, and like the match that we had today was entirely different than every other fucking match that we've had with Zangief. Like it's so weird how just you learn so much new shit as time goes on.
Oh yeah.
Just I've seen a few matches of this game being played by like pros, and it's on another fucking level. And I've always been like, oh, I'm really good at this game, but like, nowhere near
dude,
them.
no way. It's
Nowhere
like
near.
orders of magnitude. Some people are just fucking like old gods, right? Like you can't even get to their level. Like I wish I could understand this game on the level that they do, but I don't.
The other thing that blows my mind about this shit is like, so people are still obviously playing this game, even though like I've talked to people I've never heard of it before, but like it's still pretty fairly popular in the fighting game scene. It's still never been released on anything remotely modern. Like it's like there's no like digital version of it. It just
PS3
exists.
was the most recent.
Yeah, in the PS3 version, it's just like you're
This
essentially playing
online
the PS2
store,
version.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not emulated well.
Yeah, like that's actually the version that I was recently playing before we started on Fightcade was that version. But like the fact that it's never been re-released in anything, not a compilation, nothing. It's just like, and God, for the love of God, who still has PS3s that work? Because most people don't.
Oh yeah, it's like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I don't remember if it was like Maximilian Dude or there was, I don't know who started it, but they were like free MVC2, right? And they actually got Arcade One Up to like release a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet, and they had like Justin Wong like playtest it. Who I don't know if you know who Justin Wong is, but like he's an old god from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He's like, dude's bananas.
Also, I think we've all seen the parrying.
Oh
video,
yeah, Evil Moment 37. Dude, he's such a good sport about that too. That was wild, dude. I can't even imagine watching that live. Like that crowd was accurately hype. And the best part is that wasn't even like the finals either. That was like it just happened. It wasn't even like Daigo won the fucking tournament because of it. It's like it just happened. Oh,
yeah,
wild.
But that's the cool thing about like these games in particular. So I've seen Smash and I've seen Mortal Kombat and I've seen like a lot of these modern games at like Evo and stuff. But it's something about like these specific 2D fighting games where like crazy shit can happen because of the systems in them that gets me so much more excited to watch those matches than almost any other matches.
Right.
Like I can't imagine something like that happening in like a Tekken game. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the mechanics of those games as evolved as they are and how they've been modified over the course of time, they just don't lend themselves to like the crazy moments you can do in games like Street Fighter Alpha 3 or Third Strike. The systems in those games just lead, like, they can facilitate insanely cool moments just with these like simple 2D sprite characters. And that's really just, it's interesting to me. Like we have all this new technology and like all this crazy shit we can put on the screen, but like watching a fucking pixelated like Ryu or Chun-Li fight, it just for some reason like hits me right in the feels every time.
Right. So it makes you feel good. I mean, see, I don't know that we'd recognize what like hype shit would look like in like Tekken, right? People get down on Tekken 7. But I don't even know what hype stuff would look like in that game because I don't even know how to like speak the language, right? It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's cool stuff going on, but I don't know it. But this I recognize.
So I think the thing that makes it a little bit less, this is gonna sound horrible, but less impressive to me is the fact that like I feel like Tekken and Soul Calibur and like modern games have a lot of like lead up time to every move. Whereas like the 2D fighting games, they don't have that. It's almost instantaneous. Like if you're pressing a button, like yeah, your heavy's going to be a little bit slower. But if you're pressing like a light attack button, you have so little fucking time to like get around that comparatively. Like I remember the first time I played Mortal Kombat X, not even 11, Mortal Kombat X. They refined the fighting system a little bit, and it was like every time I hit a button, it was essentially like having half a second of delay before the character attacked. And I was like, this feels sluggish as hell. But I think it was because at that point, my mind was programmed to like, you hit the button, the fucking punch comes out like lightning fast.
Well, that's partially to do with like CRTs, right? Like CRTs are amazing because they're so input lag is a thing, right? All our modern LCDs and LEDs and all those, there's a lot of input lag from the frame, like the conceiving of the frame to it actually displaying, where CRTs just kind of spit it out like instantaneously. Which is why you'll see all these fighting game tournaments. People are playing on CRT TVs, like so those old cathode ray tube TVs that's super heavy, and a lot of old arcades and even new arcades will have CRTs because that instant thing. So like your controller, like so your controller will introduce some lag, and then the game will have some input lag, and then the displaying of it will have input lag. And some games are like a lot worse at it than others. Like I think Street Fighter V got a lot of flack for that. I don't know because I haven't actually played it, but a lot of people were saying there was like wild input lag. And like even this, like we're playing on Fightcade, there's a lot of stuff that like we were playing that like there's input lag. There's enough input lag that like the pros like it's they have to play a different way as a result of the input lag. Whereas like so like Third Strike, people online, they'll be dashing up on you all the time, and they don't get. It's really hard to watch somebody get like dashed up and like checked for it, like just get smacked over it. But if you watch people playing in like tournaments, especially if they're not online, they got the CRTs and stuff. You get dashed up, you get smacked. Like it just happens, like because the reaction time is there. Like you can, if you hit it, it will happen. Like you won't miss it. It's like this. If you're playing online for CVS, like if I like really wanted to, like I don't want to because I want to have fun with you, but I could just like get you into like throw loops because it's really hard to tech throws online if you're not like 100% ready at all times. So you just get thrown and then you get thrown and then get thrown and then get thrown because of the latency.
Yeah, I mean, the latency is definitely a huge thing. So I can tell more now than almost like ever before as far as latency goes, but that's only because I'm playing online more. So like you instantly feel that online latency, and even if it's like a really good connection and everything is like the stars have aligned and everybody's got the most amazing connection and you're not getting any lag, you can still tell. You just kind of grow accustomed to it and deal with it after a while. Like your muscle memory kind of gets accustomed to how many milliseconds of lag you're getting before you're hitting the button and it's showing up. But I distinctly remember the first time I had like felt that input latency in anything, and it was, oh my god, what the hell was I playing? Oh god, it was not MKX. That was the first time I realized that like the 3D versions of games are putting in more latency than I would like to actually deal with. But before that, I want to say it was a King of Fighters game I was playing. Like one of the, how we're in like King of Fighters 15s, it was probably one of the ones that came out in like what was the one that came out in like 2013 or 2014? It
was King of Fighters 13.
Yeah, that one in particular, I could tell like right off the bat.
Try playing it now. I think they've improved it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like when you know, when you feel it, you feel it, and it's hard to like not see it. And like these 2D fighting games from this era, like if you're playing on a CRT and you have like an arcade stick hooked up, it's like insane how different it is as far as latency goes. Like,
playing it in an arcade,
like almost like playing another game.
Completely different.
Yeah, completely different.
Dreamcast is like real close, and so's PS2 though. So you can get like an arcade like experience at home.
Yeah, I really want a Dreamcast. I really wish I had never given my Dreamcast away, but
you could totally get one. I think you can play burnt CDs on them now too, like, or you can just like replace it with shoot like an SD card or something, get all the games and play them.
Oh yeah, the Dreamcast is insanely easy to hack nowadays. It's dumb easy.
I think it just plays burned discs. Like because the technology just didn't exist when they like thought of it, so they just didn't do anything for like write protection.
Well, I actually looked into that. So the weird thing about this is going to be a weird little side tangent, but like the weird thing about the Dreamcast is it used CDs, but it like somehow utilized an extra layer of the CD to fit more data in, and the CD writers at the time couldn't do it.
Yeah,
but like
GD-ROMs.
but like a year after it launched, like the burners came out for it, and everybody was fucking burning CDs with Dreamcast games on them. They're like, well, who needs to pay for shit anymore? We can just burn it, you know?
Oh yeah, if you like 2D fighters, dude, Dreamcast your system for sure. It's got all the hits.
Poor Dreamcast, man. Ugh. Yeah, that system was so like, it's so underrated. It had so much good shit on it. It was like the first console that had like a legitimate online service.
Mm-hmm.
It had
Phantasy Star Online.
It had the best 2D fighters on it. Like they were just like, we're just gonna put like every fucking 2D fighter on it. That's great, and you know, and like maybe that'll save the console. It fucking didn't. But like,
yeah, I mean it was still going strong in Japan. Like they just discontinued North American support.
Yeah, but like, oh, man, poor Dreamcast.
Yep.
That system will live on in my memory for so long.
It's so good.
Yeah. Okay, so we covered a lot of this game. Oh, you know what we haven't covered?
What?
The graphics and the sprites.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that earlier. So what happened with this, right? There's a lot of copy pasta from like Street Fighter Alpha 3. Morgan specifically gets a lot of flack because her sprite is straight out of the original Darkstalkers. Some of the characters got like redrawn sprites. They look really good. Like M Bison, I think this is my favorite version of M Bison. Is the CVS2 sprite. Chun-Li got a different sprite, and
Chun-Li's sprite is actually really good.
Yeah.
I think that sprite work is probably some of my favorite for her.
Oh yeah, Chun-Li's a monster in this game. Like I'm always like I love playing Chun-Li, but I just don't. I'm getting old, man. I don't have the reaction. You gotta be on it to play Chun-Li. Yeah. But she's so good. But yeah, her sprite's super cool, and then. What else? I think Eagle got a new sprite, right? Because he was from original Street Fighter, like OG, not Street Fighter 2, right? He came
like
back.
OG.
And then Maki was from Final Fight. She got a sprite. And then who else?
Yeah, you can always tell, like, if you're playing this game, you can kind of see, like, where they put some effort in, and when they're just like, you know what, this is. Yeah,
okay. I think all the King of Fighters
Morgan
guys,
in particular, though,
got new sprites.
Morgan's sprite, it wouldn't be so bad if she didn't have like it literally has her entire outline is just black.
Oh yeah, that thick black outline, it just kills people.
It's like they didn't even try. They just like oh man, you know what? We're just gonna make it seem like somebody drew a pen around her entire sprite and then just called it a day. And
Hohomaru got a new sprite.
Oh, really? That's a new
sprite?
I
think, that's a newer one. Hibiki got one. She was from Last Blade 2. I don't know if you've ever played Last Blade 2. It's very good.
Oh, I never
Very underrated. Yeah, she's from that game.
See, I thought she was from just Samurai Showdown.
Nope, Last Blade 2.
Huh, interesting.
I know, right? She's super good. She was one of my original. So who was your original team, right? So when you were starting to get serious, sorry, we were just like waxing poetic, but like, what was your like original sweat team?
My original sweat team, and it was a bad one to begin with, but I really like these characters. Hohomaru was my opener because Hohomaru, for those of you who don't know, has the biggest fucking heavy punch that you will ever see. It's not a punch, first of all, because he's a fucking Samurai Showdown character. It's a slash, and he just like two-hand fucking overhead chops you with this slash, and literally the game slows down if you get hit by it.
Oh yeah, the hit stop on it is like 10 frames. It's wild, but it does a huge chunk of damage. Especially if you're like Morgan or like some like really low life character, like you get like it's like a good eighth to like sixth of your life. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So he's always my opener because I feel like if I can land like a couple of those slashes with like with some of his just normal like specials, I'm pretty good.
He's in King of Fighters 15. He's got the big slash in that too.
Oh yeah, he does.
Fun fact.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah,
All right,
I've been
keep going.
playing
Sorry.
my KOF 15 lately. So he was my opener. Then Rock would be my second dude up. So, which for those of you who know, like Rock is just pretty much like a poor man's Terry. Um, the downside to him is he hits a lot like slower. So like he telegraphs his moves a little bit worse than Terry does, even though Terry's like fucking Buster Wolf and like fucking calls out everything before he does it. Rock's even worse.
Well, he's like Terry meets Geese, right? Because he's Geese's kid.
Yeah, so he has a really good like counter. Um, his rushing attack's pretty good, but it can be punished really easily. Rising tackle like that's all right if you see like a jump coming, but it's very hard to like do it quick enough to actually land it. So, but I always liked his level 3 super because his level 3 super hit like a fucking truck.
Which one, Deadly Rave or Raging Storm?
Raging Storm. Also, like I just liked his moveset. His moveset was pretty good. And if you're using his heavy like fireball attack, it will catch stuff because he does like a double sweep. So if somebody's, let's say, throwing a fireball at you, you can actually catch the fireball in the first sweep where like the fireball's being built up, and then the second one will launch it back at your opponent. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with Rock. But
it
like
hits
now,
twice if you're really close too.
yeah. So he's got a pretty decent moveset. I like ever since
He's stylish as hell though.
Yeah, I just use Terry if I want to like feel Rock's moveset in my playstyle. I'll just throw Terry in there. And then my closer was always a level 2 Sagat because fuck yeah, level 2 Sagat.
Sagat's ridiculous.
For those of you, if you know, you know. Sagat's got one of the craziest heavy kicks you've ever seen. His range on everything is stupid, which is like a blessing and a curse because you can get your like hand punched if you're throwing out like a heavy punch and like dumb shit like that. His
Crouching Fierce does a ridiculous amount of damage.
Yeah, his Crouching Fierce is really good. His Shoryuken is fucking amazing, and it's one of those things that like if you hit somebody with that, they like feel it, and it definitely like shakes them a little bit. Like if you hit your opponent with like a really good Tiger Uppercut, like you could tell they're just like, oh fuck my life. Same thing with the Tiger Knee. Like if you hit somebody with that too, Tiger Knee like pops out so quick that it's just like pop pop pop, oh bam, knock him down, and then you can just follow up really quickly. And his level 3s are fucking dope as hell. So yeah, Sagat was always my closer. I still use Sagat though. Sagat's just great. He's an OG. I'm gonna keep him in my team forever.
He's super good. I think he's got a confirmed, like if you do like crouching medium kick, you can do the level 2 crouching fireball super and then do a level 1 standing fireball super, and it does a ton of damage and it looks sick.
God. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, I can't remember what was your OG team back in the day.
I think it was like A Groove Hibiki.
Yeah.
Was like I used to use her a lot, and then I think I used King, and then I was kind of just bouncing around. I've always been kind of like random in this game.
You used Joe a lot. I remember Joe being in there.
Once I switched to C Groove, I started like playing Joe a lot. I like really like Joe. His like double cyclone is just like does stupid damage, and it's like a really good. You can trap a lot of people because most of the grooves can't block in the air, so if they jump above you, like curtains.
Yeah,
it does like tons of damage. And then
he's really good at punishing air attacks too, because he's got that fucking kick. So it's
that
like,
kick is yeah. You can trick people into jumping in on you and just like really get it. And then he's got the 1,000 hand slap thing going on too, which is like really good. I think my team was like Ken, Joe, King with C Groove when I was like playing before I like really started understanding, like before I even knew what a crossover was.
Yeah, but honestly, those are the good times though. Like the more knowledge you get, the more you kind of want to like go deeper down the rabbit hole. Like I remember when we first started playing this game, like we used mostly Shotos for a bit too. Like there's a lot of just straight up Shoto fights. But like yeah,
oops all fireballs, and it's like this game is like do not throw fireballs. It's like really bad.
Yeah, it is really, really bad. But I remember, oh man, your fucking Shinakuma used to piss me off like nobody's business. Oh Jesus. Yeah. It was just like so the Shinakuma in this game can do, he throws double air fireballs like a motherfucker. So if you're using Shinakuma, like you can actually use him in C Groove, and the air fireballs will build your meter super, super fast.
Yeah, he's a great battery.
Yeah, but if you're doing K Groove, like all it takes is like one kick, and Shinakuma now has his fucking meter, and he can like destroy people. Like if he has like a level 3 super, it's fucking game over because
it does brutal amounts of damage.
Yeah, I don't know like what the ratio is for like how much damage he takes before compared to how much he puts out. But this,
I think he just has a like really low life count. Like his health, he has like low HP. All the characters have different HP in this game.
Yeah, but like Shinakuma's HP is like you hit him 3 times with a heavy and he's pretty much dead. But
yeah, it's glass cannon.
Yeah, but getting close to him, if somebody knows how to like use their like throw air fireballs and like he has a teleport, god damn.
Yeah, it's got like a 0 frame recovery too.
Yeah, it's
he's got
really
he's got counterattacks.
What?
Yep. So he's got a low and a high counterattack. Like down 3 punches is the low one, and down 3 kicks is the high one, I think. So like you can so the animation is he catches you, but then he just disappears, and he does like the knee from space move. So he just disappears and like lands on you and just like hits you and knocks you down. Dude, it's so satisfying.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, that we'll joke. I don't know what the fucking move is called. We keep saying knee from space, but there's this move that Shinakuma has that like when we used to play matches against each other. What would happen is like we would have like these really close matches, and Shinakuma would get he would get his level 3 fucking super, and Steve would just do this move, and I don't know what it's called, but I called it the knee from space because he would literally just fall from the sky at like the quick, like so fast you don't even see it, and just fucking land on you. And it's like it's not unblockable.
No, you can play. It's actually like stupid easy to avoid. You just kind of walk backwards and it won't hit you. But if you're like jumping at all, like dude, that thing is gonna cut you in half. It does so much damage.
Yeah, and it's like everybody's like, well, Raging Demon. Yeah, Raging Demon's great, but like if you can kind of see Raging Demon coming because most people aren't going to pop it the first time. It's a very specific like button combination to do it. You're essentially inputting a fucking Mortal Kombat fatality to get Raging Demon going. Whereas this knee from space is I think like 2 half circles back and then like
and kick
and then it's in your face. Like you fucking can't do anything about it. It does a dumb amount of damage if it's like a level 3K groove. But we would have so many matches where it'd be like super, super close.
It's like 3/4 of your health. It is a ludicrous amount of damage.
Yeah. So and you just like knee from space, and I'd be fucking dead. And
so it's like 8 frames too. Like it's just super fast.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, like that was my kryptonite. That fucking move was my kryptonite. Steve's kryptonite.
It was like the charged fireball with Evil Ryu.
So Evil Ryu, who's he's not in the arcade version, right? He's only
no, he's not.
Yeah,
he's only console.
Yeah, he's only console. He can charge. He has like a fireball, and it's unblockable. But like, you think unblockable fireball? Well, you can just jump over it. Yes,
dude, it's super slow too. Like, it just makes you want to block it.
But Evil Ryu, if you do this unblockable fireball, you can actually hold it for a second. So like, sometimes you'll start a fireball, like the super, and the flash happens, and then people will subconsciously be like, oh, I'm gonna jump over it right now because it's gonna throw right now, and you just hold it for a second.
Roll.
Yeah, and you just fucking let it go right at the right moment. You just catch him. But for some reason, Steve will just watch this fireball come at him,
It's just
and it'll
slowly
hit him.
hurtle towards me.
Yeah, it's like here it comes, the fireball charging. It throws, and it's just like a slow moving fireball. And I'm like, he's gonna tech roll this. He's gonna jump over it. Something's gonna happen. Nope.
So this kid's got good reactions. He always dodges this stuff. Nope.
Yeah, and it wouldn't happen
He
all the time.
fricassees my brain.
It'd probably be like half the time, but anytime it would land, I'd be like, yes, fucking the fire it's such a mind fuck to get hit by this stupid slow ass moving fireball, but it's fucking great. But like, these are the matches we've been having for fucking the better part of 2 decades, and we still do this. We will still boot up this game and fucking pick Evil Ryu and Shinakuma, and that's usually how the match will end up like going. Like one of us is gonna get hit with one of those fucking level 3 supers.
Oh yeah, if you want to see this this slow fireball clocking me action on my YouTube, I have when we were playing on Null DC. It's like before like Fightcade was pretty good. Null DC Bear was like the way to play. And yeah, it's just like I don't know, it's like a 2-hour set or something. We just like played a lot, and I just keep getting clobbered with it. Was that like a year ago or like 2 years ago? It was a while ago.
It was a while ago because like my I think it was right after my kid was born actually. So it must have been about a year ago now.
Yeah.
Because I remember we played while he was like taking a nap, and I was like, I don't know how much time I have, but we're gonna fucking play this shit.
This go be good.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, holy shit! We're clocked in an hour and 47 minutes talking about.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so if you guys want to watch the matches that we played today too, I recorded them. I'll upload them to YouTube as well. You can kind of see. I don't know how many we did, but it was kind of just having some fun. But it was. I think my skill has grown pretty significantly since the last time we played.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I was expecting like it to go very similar than the last time we played, and it did not. There was some face pounding action happening with Morgan right there. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, but there was a couple of times where I just like it was just standing there like staring at you like what are you even doing? Like I'm literally just standing still. And I was like, oh, he's jumping at me. I should probably do something.
Oh man. But yeah, I'll definitely post the link to that too in the description of the podcast for the people that want to watch. The matches of this game are pretty intense, and we definitely enjoy playing this game a lot. Like probably more than we should, considering how old it is. You'd figure we'd be playing something else by now, but no, we're still.
Nope, nothing scratches that itch quite like this.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I like so on my notes I have like, well, would you recommend this game to like people today? I would say fucking definitely. If you like 2D fighting games, especially like I was talking to somebody today and it made me feel insanely old because when I was talking about the Pokemon story with somebody I work with, this guy Jonathan, he was like, I was 1 year old when that happened, and I was like, holy shit.
I am made of dust.
Yeah. And well, it's funny because he was talking about playing King of Fighters 15, and I was like, oh damn, King of Fighters 15 is fucking excellent. I was like, have you ever played like this game? And I started like rattling off games. He's like, no, I've never heard of any of those. And I'm like, shit, man, like you are missing out. Like King of Fighters 15 is great, but you will never know like the good old days of just straight up 2D fighters. Like
I think they do a good job capturing it. Like 15's pretty decent, but it's just like oops all like combos.
Yeah, well, it's so I always think of like the top tier games. King of Fighters 98 is definitely one of them. This game is this game's just gonna live on in infamy as one of. I still say today that Capcom versus SNK 2 is probably my favorite 2D fighter of all time.
This is my favorite fighting game, like by a long shot.
Yeah, it has the roster. It still looks good even despite the fucking the horrible sprites that some of the characters have. A majority of them actually look really good. The backgrounds are really fun. Like the backgrounds, we didn't talk about them at all, but all the stages.
Oh yeah, they're like 3D. Yeah. So there's 11 stages in the arcade. There's like a lantern festival one. There's a rotating stage with a crowd. There's one with like sand dunes and like cars jumping. There's one.
I like that one a lot, actually.
There's one with a UK, like a street in the UK. There's a bunch of like characters from like King of Fighters and Street Fighter in the background. It's got the like True Love Making soundtrack, which is like the iconic song from this. Then there's one that's like a frozen river, and there's like a ship that comes out, and like it's an icebreaker, and then there's a bunch of banners and a news crew. Then there's the rooftop is a rooftop with like a giant animatronic like American Johnny Beer like drinking a beer with like a cowboy hat. Then there's like a boxing ring with like a timer and the health set at the top. That was like one of the last stages. Then there's a raining like you're on a Japanese rooftop and it's like just pouring rain, and then there's like a blown up roof kind of level. That's the boss level, and then in the console version, there's a training level with a grid. And that's the first game I think I can remember that had a training level with like the grid.
Yeah.
That's like everybody has it now.
Yeah, the 3D grid background. Yeah, I remember seeing that and I was like, this is really weird. Like it
really, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just weird to like the first time I saw that, I was like, this is strange. Like I feel like
because it's all 3D, QB and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, did they need to put this in here? Because like I could have just picked any stage, but I get it. It's really nice if you just want like you don't want any distractions at all in the background for when you're training. Like if you don't want to see fucking like anybody holding a Duff beer, like nothing. Like if you just want to practice your moves, the training mode.
Well, it's good for judging like distances too. Like you have an objective, like I'm standing on this line and it reaches this far.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think this has to be one of the first games that had a stage like that.
Yeah, it's the first one I can remember. I don't know which one it is, but
yeah. But all the stages look spectacular. Like there are certain ones I remember better than others. Like the rooftop rain one, the Japanese rooftop one.
Yep.
I actually really like that one a lot, and I always for some reason associate that with Alt Rugal. I don't know if that was his stage or if I'm just like if that every time I fight Rugal he's on that fucking rooftop, because I think that's like where you fight him as a last boss.
I think that's like normal Akuma or normal Rugal that you fight up there.
And then
there's a boss mode. Yeah, I'll tell about that. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and then the Shinakuma one was the blown up city one, because like man, the amount of fucking hours I spent. Goddamn, fucking Shinakuma.
Beating your head against that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But like, yeah, the all the stages are really, really well done. It's one of those things that you don't notice it when you're playing. Like you notice it for like the first 2 seconds. Like the first 2 seconds the match loads, you're like, oh, okay, I'm on the street with the bus in the background. And then it kind of just like you don't pay attention to it because obviously
I need to hyper focus on everything.
Exactly. But if you're just like watching the game as like a bystander and you just pay attention to the backgrounds, there's a lot of cool shit happening there. Like the ice level with the ship, that's really cool to me. But like all these backgrounds have like really like moving stuff, so there's something to always keep your eye on in the background while you're playing. Like it's just really, they did a lot of good work with the backgrounds in this game, more so than most of the games around this time, I would say.
Yeah. The so I was gonna say the console versions, right? There's a bunch of different game modes, not just arcade mode. So there's a survival mode, there's a training mode in the console version, and there's versus, and then there's two survival modes. There's like a all survival, so you just got to go through the whole cast with one health bar, and then there's a freaking infinite survival. You just go forever. And then there's arcade mode, but if you hold light punch and medium punch, and then you select arcade mode, and then you go to the character select screen, it goes straight to bosses. So you have to, it's like you can't die. You get new health every time you do like a new round. But you would fight like the Akuma, Rugal, Shinakuma, Alt, or God Rugal.
Oh god damn.
And then if you beat those, I think that's how you unlock like the cheat menu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's EX grooves in. You can build your own groove in the console version, which is super broken. I remember you complaining about me like sweeping you with Joe and then canceling the sweep into the dude. It's some super broken, very fun grooves that you can make because you can kind of like mix and match. There's like a point system to like keep it balanced.
But it doesn't
But
stay
if you get the
balanced at all.
no, but if you unlock the cheats, you can just like get like just all points. Like you can just put illegal grooves through and then play them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, the boss mode. I bet you didn't know about that.
I did not know about the boss mode, and I also
20-year-old game.
I also remember me trying to do all survival. Like almost every time I boot up this game somewhere, I try to do the
Yeah, I
all
think that's
survival
how you
mode.
get the cheat menu in
Yeah.
the Xbox version.
And I always would get to like fucking like I would get like probably like 30 fighters in. But the thing is like this game is just like any other fighting game, and it's the further you get into that survival mode, the more the CPU like will punish you.
Reads your inputs.
Oh yeah, 100%. What like the first like 5 guys, you would think like the CPU isn't even like on, like it's just not even thinking, and then
you just body them.
yeah, and then but once you get around probably like the 15th or the 20th fight, you're like shit, this is like normal arcade mode, and then once you get to like 25 to 30, like the 25th to the 30th character. Holy shit, the game's like, we are not gonna, you shall not fucking pass. Like,
yeah, you get less and less life back too.
yeah, so you gotta make sure like you're pretty much, you can't be hyper aggressive once you get to those stages because the computer's gonna read your inputs hard, like really really fucking hard, and you're pretty much just gonna have to wait and punish whatever the CPU does. But even still, I think I've only made it like 32 fights in before I just like gave up.
I haven't tried in a while. Maybe I'll see if I can beat my head against that wall.
You can, and the CPU for some reason, like certain characters, it's better against than others. Like I've noticed,
Depends
like,
on the groove that they have.
Yeah, my Shoto characters get wrecked. I always have to go with like Bison or somebody like that to get further in. But like even with Bison, the further you get in, Bison's got a lot of punishable moves. And the CPU.
Oh, yeah, but he's got a lot of like the best moves in the game though. Like some of his buttons are like bananas.
But by the time you're that far in, like let's say hypothetically you do like a Psycho Crusher, like if they block,
oh yeah, you get punished.
You're getting punished every time. Same thing with the head stomp. Like they read that head stomp like a fucking like the morning newspaper. They see that shit coming, and you will not get it off. Like they will fucking wreck you for it. But that's usually the character I get the furthest. Him and oddly enough Hoamaru. And I don't know if it's just because I spam the shit out of that heavy slash, but like I can get pretty far in with Hoamaru, and then I start getting punished hard because Hoamaru just like later on, the CPU once they start reading his moves, he's got a lot of punishable shit. Like you can't be doing crescent slashes; he will get thrown.
No, those are trash.
Yeah.
His like light poke, his jab is like really good. It's fast and it reaches far.
Yeah.
Usually when I play online, I just poke people, just constantly just needling them with it. It's so like annoying.
Oh man, but yeah, like survival mode's super super fun. It's one of those things that like, if you can get through the arcade mode, that's the next thing that you're gonna obviously jump to. It's just really really difficult.
There's a color edit mode too, so you can press start when you select the character and pick like a custom like how you colored it, which was pretty fun. I used to mess around with that online a lot.
Yeah.
And then you can change their name too. I think you can just name them whatever the hell you want. It's just cool.
Oh man, yeah, this game had so many options for like just like a fighting game back in the day. Like the fact that I picked this thing up on a whim, because I just wanted like a online 2D fighter. And it had so much, like you got a lot of value out of this. I think this came out at as a budget title too, because I think I only paid like $40 for it when it launched.
Yeah.
It was just really impressive.
And SVC Chaos came out, and I was like, damn.
I
was hoping for another CVS too.
Yeah, I remember that shit. You know what though, the artwork in that game was really good. I remember distinctly like the sprite work in that game is spectacular, but the gameplay is. You'd hope that this would be more like if this was more of like a Capcom feel, you'd hope that SVC Chaos would be more of a King of Fighters feel, and it really wasn't. Like it just didn't feel right to me when I played that game.
Yeah, I think this game feels like Alpha 3 mixed with King of Fighters 98. It's got that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Where it's like can be really fast, but also can like slow you down and just poke you to death.
Yeah, and that's a really good mix to have. Like those are excellent games to begin with. So,
oh, definitely.
I could see why this game like has held up so well. It's a really really good mix, really good roster. Like everything just clicks really well. Oh man! All right, so do you think we should call it at the 2-hour mark? Do you think we've?
Yeah, probably. I don't know that anybody wants to listen to us for longer than that.
Yeah, right. But man, yeah, thanks for chatting about this. Like when I first started the like thinking about doing a podcast, this was one of the games I wanted to talk about because like I've played it for so fucking long. It was like this, it's this Halo, and the Silent Hill series are the games that I was like, I gotta get my thoughts out on these.
Oh like, yeah, these are the games. These are the games. If I could have no other games, I would have these.
Yeah, they're my fucking desert island games for sure.
Yeah, which is another podcast. They us with the name. That's a way better name.
I know. I feel fuck.
That's
man.
All right.
It's fine.
That is good.
It's fine.
It's
yeah.
Fine. Shout out to those guys and gals. I don't know. I've never listened to it. It's a great name though.
Yeah. Okay, so before I outro this, if you had to rate this game, like on a scale of just like how many fighters are in this game overall?
48 on the console, 44 on the arcade.
All right, if you had to rate this game out of 1 to 44, because I don't want, I'll use the arcade to start. 1 being absolute trash and 44 being like god tier. Where would you put it?
Oh, this is a god tier game for sure. I just like I said, this is literally my favorite fighting game.
Yeah,
I mean, it is unfair to compare a lot of other games to this because like I love all my babies, but this is my firstborn son. This shit's so good.
It really is. I don't know. Like I'm thinking about it. I'm like, if I had to rate it, I think I would give it a 42 out of 44. And the only reason I'm docking like any points at all is fucking Morgan's sprite.
Oh yeah, the sprite. Hey, there's room for improvement for sure. Like the sprite work could do better. The music, like there's a couple of like bangers, but mostly it's just kind of like EDM, like just kind of blends into the background, which I guess is good. Makes you focus more on like fighting, but like I don't know.
But the music will get in your head. Like it's good enough to like.
Oh yeah, true love making for sure.
Yeah. That shit will get you. Yeah, it's probably the only thing I'd have to say is that, and I mean the console version of rollback netcode wasn't a fucking thing. So if you wanted to play this game online,
god, yeah, rollback netcode is like Jesus.
Yeah, it's so I'd have to dock it for that. But I mean, if you're playing it now, like it's not really much of an issue. Like honestly, we were just playing in Fightcade, and it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, you get some pretty quality games in Fightcade. I do get a little salty though sometimes when like the rollback is like a little excessive. Like sometimes, like you'll get an eye for it, right? You can see like if it rolls back like 6-7 frames because that's the difference between hitting and not hitting sometimes.
Yeah.
So like you'll see them, like you'll hit them and then it's like, oh, you didn't actually hit them, and then they hit you and you're like, my heart. But you don't drop combos, which is really good, right? That was a big problem with the delay stuff. Is like you just drop, and in a game where the combos are link based, that's like you just die.
Yeah. But this game overall
changes the
is
game.
Like, oh god, it's so fucking good. Especially now, like you could just play this shit on Fightcade. Like,
Fightcade's so good.
I will say this right now, like for those of you who don't know what Fightcade is, because I didn't know what Fightcade was. Until Steve told me about it. It's literally like if you can think of like a classic like arcade fighter that you want to play online with like a friend, Fightcade is your jam. Like you can
or just arcade games like Metal Slug,
or
Final Fight, or just anything. There's just tons of games.
It's got an excellent interface. Like you can literally Google it and find it right now. If you have questions about like how to update it or anything, like I'm not gonna get into weird like
they can't tell you where the ROMs are, right? Because like legal reasons, but like it doesn't take a lot of time to find like a JSON file to maybe download the ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
It doesn't take much work to get you a like shit ton of quality fighting games and arcade games. Let's put it that way. And
Yep.
it's in a very convenient, like well laid out package. So if you're really interested in playing these games online, definitely look into Fightcade. It's worth
they
your
got a
time.
Patreon. They're all open source, right? They're just doing it for the love of it. So definitely, if you can, like if you're financially able to support that project, please do, because they're doing a lot of good. They're making a lot of people happy.
Yeah, including myself. Like this is Null DC was cool because that's what we were using before this to play. But like Fightcade is just the UI is good. Everything just fucking works like you would want it to.
Yep, the rollback's really good.
The rollback's really good. So just look into it if you feel like trying something new. I mean, it's free. What have you really got to lose? You know what I'm saying?
Chances are, if you're watching like a streamer play like a retro fighting game online, they're playing on Fightcade.
Yeah, it's like you can probably see tons of YouTube stuff on how it works, and I'm sure there's a boatload of tutorials out there if you have any questions. And it's super simple. You can use fucking normal game pads and shit on it. I was using my Xbox One controller today. Not the best for fighting games. I wouldn't recommend it, but still, it's awesome. Definitely look into it.
It's super accessible.
And I'm sure this isn't the last fighting game we're going to be talking about, and I'm sure the ones that we would talk about we'll probably play a few rounds through there before we start the podcast. Whatever the next one may be about a fighting game. I might take like a little bit of a fighting game break between this.
Yeah, two in a row, right? Oops, all fighting games.
Between this and Smash Brothers, oh my god! And keep in mind, my Smash Brothers knowledge is not remotely as in depth as Logan. I could put Logan on a podcast about Smash, and he'd probably talk for like 4 or 5 hours, easy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Easy.
I played. I deployed with this guy, and he was like, we were like landing in the C-130. There's no like windows really that you can see. So he was just like, he just strapped in, and he was like playing Smash on the Switch. He's like, hey, you got Smash? And I was like, yeah, I'll play. Dude, I couldn't even touch him. I was like, oh, you a god. I'm usually like, whenever we play in the like friends groups, I'm like, I just dominate. But like, he was like, he's on a whole nother level. I'm like, oh, word, you actually are like serious about this. Like,
yeah.
Smash Ultimate's pretty serious business. That's a game right there.
So it's more deep than I would like to get into a fighting game. I play it casually, but like between like teching and the different characters and how like recovery works, and my god, are busy. People are busy. Like there's a lot of shit that goes into that game, and I am not afraid to say that it's kind of above my skill level when it comes to fighting games.
Dude, I'm trash at that game.
Yeah, like I'll play in a fun environment. Like if there's like 4 or 5 people over my house and they're like, let's play something fun, I'll either choose either that or Mario Party, and usually that. But yeah, oh man, I'm gonna have to take a break between Smash and this. I'm fighting gamed out for a bit, but
yeah, understandable.
But these were this podcast, I'm telling you, like this is going to be my outro right here. I'll tell you this much. This podcast was something that I didn't know how much I would enjoy doing. Because like,
you've been doing this podcast for like years, right? Your YouTube was basically like proto this podcast. Like this is something you've been trying to get going, and I'd love to see this take off. Yeah,
so this is something like, we always used to do this at work, right? Like this was what we did. We just talked about video games half the time, and it's something I still do at work. So this podcast is something that I didn't know how much I would enjoy doing, but I really, really like it, and I'm gonna do this for the foreseeable future, regardless of how many people listen or how many people don't. I'm enjoying talking to my friends about games that they like playing, and I fucking love it.
Do what makes you happy, man.
Yeah. With that being said, this is up everywhere. So for anybody who wants to listen or send it to a friend, like, don't worry. Like if they have Apple like podcast or Spotify, Google, Amazon. I have made sure to post this freaking everywhere. I've gone out of my way to do it. On top of that, I'm posting all like this on YouTube after the fact. So if somebody wants to just watch a long form YouTube video, you don't even have to watch it. Just put it on in the background. They can do that. I have a Patreon that's not completely launched because I don't know what the reward tiers are, but pretty soon that's going to be going up for anybody that wants to throw like a couple bucks my way. You'll get perks. I'm planning on doing like an extra bonus podcast. It's probably just going to be me talking about my opinions on like video game news and anything going on in the world of like video game entertainment stuff. And I'm looking into actual little bit of like merchandise once I get like a logo finalized for it and stuff like that I'm probably going to send out to monthly Patreon people once that gets rolling. But like, please don't think you're required to pay. Honestly, I just want people to listen and enjoy it. If you want to contact me, all the links for stuff, I have Twitter, Facebook page is up. And like, you can honestly just DM me on stuff. It's totally cool. If you have recommendations for a game, whatever, just do it that way. Comment, tell me what sucks. Tell me what you would like to see. I'm completely down for anything that you guys request to at least give it a look and see if it works. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I think we're done.
Yeah. If you want to find me anywhere, I'm on YouTube. Anywhere I am, I'm going to be under my handle. It's Tomato or T0MA70 because every time in life somebody has beat me to just plain Tomato. So I'm on YouTube. Like I said, I'm going to post the thing. I'm not super active on any of this stuff because I'm always super busy, but I'll probably be doing more podcasts than anything else. But I'm on that. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. But I mean, if you want to just like watch some stuff, YouTube's probably like where it's at for that. And then sometimes I'm on there's like some YouTube there's some YouTubers that like will pull replays of Fightcade stuff and post it. So like sometimes, like I was talking about, I played against Smug. They whoop me. I guarantee you that's on YouTube somewhere. So like for sure you can watch that stuff. But if you just T0MA70 in the search bar, you'll probably find me.
Awesome. Yeah, and I will definitely link your YouTube channel and everything into the description of the podcast for anybody who wants to take a look at that. There is actually some really cool stuff on your channel. Like, you've done a lot of like crazy video game shit.
Yeah, just like for as long as it makes me happy and I have the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so make sure you check that stuff out. And I'm going to end it here. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon. I have no real consistent schedule because of my work, so I just do these when I can. So if anybody's wondering like when these podcasts go up, I am trying to record them in advance and set them up for every Friday morning so that way they post every single Friday morning. So you have one every single week to listen to. But with that being said, people's schedules, my schedule, it's all up in the air. So we just do what we can. So if I miss a week, please don't hate me. But yeah, hopefully every Friday morning you'll have something to listen to. Is that it? Do you have anything else that you want to plug or say before you go?
Just have fun and be cool.
Yeah, I agree. Have fun, be cool. Hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again next week. Have a good one.
This is the tournament for the new millennium. You'll experience the most exciting battle in history. Let's get ready to